Escape room operators of Reddit, what was the weirdest thing you've seen a group do? We had this group of 3, the theme was an abandoned subway station. We had some flashing lights so they would see something, but I forgot to switch the flip on when bringing them to the room. They never ever turned on the lights. The button was next to the door, and spent the whole hour in almost complete darkness, only using the metro carriage headlight to check every clue they had. They were doing very well, so I didn't told them to turn the lights on. Then, the same group spent at least 10 minutes reassembling a skeleton, arguing which bone would go where because they thought they saw some marks on the fake bones. Still in almost complete darkness, after the skeleton was back in one piece, they figured out it was useless and managed to find the final code and went out in time. Their main feedback was we really liked the darkness. It made it a bit difficult to navigate and read the clues, but the immersion was great. We tried the room without lights a few more times afterwards on groups we thought would not be complete idiots and made some minor changes to accommodate, like making it easier to navigate without bumping your feet everywhere. The lights off became the default setting in the end. I've done this as well. When entering the escape room we were told not to mess with the lights. They meant the light bulbs and wiring, but we stayed away from the on switch as well. There really wasn't enough light to do anything but shuffle around. Took them 30 minutes to give us a hint that we could turn on the light. Even tough, we'd been talking about how Reddit was we were explicitly told not to touch the light and then not being able to do anything. We didn't get a single clue in those 30 minutes and really most of us were ready to leave after being locked in a dark room for half an hour. I think they did change the instructions after to prevent this from happening again. My daughter managed an escape room that had a toilet prop that moved away from the wall to reveal a hidden passage to crawl through after using clues to open it. Guests were informed that the toilet was inoperable. There was a note on the toilet stating not to use it. There was even a key hidden in the toilet. Someone pissed in the toilet daily. They then had to fish the key out of their piss and crawl through a puddle of it to complete the game daily. They probably thought the do not use sign on the toilet was misdirection to hide a clue. Then some genius in the group has a staff of raw Indiana Jones moment and thinks pissing in it in just the right way will magically cause the toilet to slide away, revealing a hidden passage or another clue. In their head, they probably imagine their clever pissings will trigger a burst of laser light, some cool sound effects, or perhaps triumphant music leading them on to solve the puzzle. I was visiting my brother in Shanghai and we made a day out of doing 3 different rooms. We were always teamed up with random Chinese people who we could only communicate with in a limited fashion. So one room had this futuristic theme and we had to find the combination to a keypad. Later that day, we are doing this one about an abandoned hospital. I'm paired with 2 14-year-old Chinese girls and my brother is in the other part with their mother. Well, me and the girls are making our way through and I see this keypad on a side door. I tried the combo from earlier in the day and it works. We end up going down these stairs and there's a basement full of props. Then we get told we're not supposed to be there. This wasn't even part of the room we were in. It was the facility's prop basement where they build and repair their escape room stuff. I once worked at a escape room with a fake weapons armory with the prop grenade in a glass cabinet which acted as a key to open the door out, and one group came in, couldn't figure out the puzzle and then literally smashed the glass and grabbed it and escaped the room and got met with the security guard and were forced to pay for the cabinet, which was expensive due to the lock being a custom. Sucks for that group, I guess. I haven't run one in a few years, but I've got some fun stories. Never forget Side Chick. When I joined this company, they were the first in the city, and we were in an odd location that could be hard to find, so company policy was to call patrons who were 10 minutes late. We called this person, and it was a very agitated woman who didn't know who or what we are, and after confirming the booking name, number, she snarkily told us that was her husband and we weren't something he'd be doing. We were polite and started to do some cleaning since we thought the booking was cancelled when the group showed up. acting jovially with the guy who booked it being very handsy with one woman. We confirmed the name on the reservation and mentioned that we just called and thought there might have been a cancellation. After confirming the number, the guy's face went white. We get the event started, with further PDA showing they were a couple. They win. We offered team photo. The guy did not want to participate in the photo, and had to be convinced by his entire team to jump in. Right before the flash went off, he dropped his head to hide his face. We figured out he was with his side chick. The 21st birthday. On weekends, we hosted events pretty late into the evening. When one party showed up celebrating a 21st birthday. Birthday girl is barely coherent. She's so drunk. We get them started. Birthday girl can't focus enough to play and is generally distracting, so she does stuff like lie in floor while her team steps over her. However, they discover the secret area, and she has to pee. We start freaking out in the control room because it's just dark enough and in one of the few corners we can't see that well as we're watching her teammates take elongated steps around her. Yes, she peed herself in the room. Thing about our rooms though was you could let yourself out if you needed to. I took a restroom break when I heard them heading out. I heard her ask if they were going to the club next. Her friend was like, "No, you're getting a bath next." Roof eyes from my manager. Another night of drunken debauchery. Our teams could be paired with strangers if you didn't buy all the tickets, and most of the time it worked out fine. One part of the group showed up. Family that couldn't be nicer. The other part showed up and it was a couple drunk off their ass in their DD. The guy tried to leave his shoes in the lobby. She asked us to hold on to her beverage since we wouldn't let it in. Game gets started. She dry humps the drunk guy in front of the family in this tiny ass room, breaks lock off a wall, got a drunken apology for that, and generally just causes mayhem. My manager goes to debrief, and offer a free game to the poor family. They were very lovely, and give the drink back. The drunk girl looks at it and asks if he roofied it. He's startled and says number. She says, "Oh, I really wish you had roofied it." Mama's boy. Family comes in with mom, another adult, son, and son's girlfriend. The son and GF are teenagers. Mom does not like the girlfriend and is not afraid to show it. She took every opportunity to get in the way of or belittle the girlfriend. GF found something equals doesn't mean anything. Mom noticed it before her. GF has a thought on how a puzzle is supposed to work, which either wasn't wrong or one of the common trains of thought equals mom doesn't think it will work nor understands how she drew that conclusion. GF, clearly uncomfortable, tries to help son with his puzzle equals mom literally runs across the room to interject. The son did nothing to stop his mom. My coworker and I really wanted to encourage her to break up with him. Wedded bliss. Bog parties weren't unusual. This group was starting their bachelor eat parties with us together before parting ways for the rest of the evening. They chose an especially challenging room, and were naturally getting frustrated and expressing that. However, something was said that blew up into a full-on argument between the couple-to-be. The wedding party was keeping their distance while my coworker and I tried to decide if we should intervene. Someone from the wedding party apologized to us and made up an excuse about wedding planning stress. I think I gave some clues to speed up some of the puzzles and encourage the couple to come back to the fray. They came back from their tiff and left smiling. I have more stories of customer violence than I have of anything weird. Weirdest thing I had was a girl tried to offer her older sister up for a date if I'd give them extra clues. Most distressing moment was a player, dad in his 50s or something, bust into my control room cause he desperately needed to shit, which, truth be told, I understand. Maybe they've got IBS, maybe they got served something bad at a restaurant, whatever. I don't wanna clean up human feces, but there are two ways out of that room, the entrance, and the little door off to the side that says do not open where I'm manning the computer and the mic. Why the hell would you bust down what was basically a closet door instead of just leaving the room? Dude ended up having to clamber over me in my fold-up chair in this cramped little control room, while his family watched from the puzzle pedestal in the corner. Group shows up in the dead of night, high as a kite. There was an elevator door in the room, opened by a code. They stand in a semicircle in front of the elevator for a solid 20 minutes before asking for a hint. I chime in through the microphone, "Have you opened the elevator yet?" Dead silence for half a minute before one of them asks, "Dude, you got an elevator in here?" Story number 2. Team comes out, holding all padlocks they found in the room, and dumped them in the hands of my poor colleague. Story number 3. Team of 3, 1 guy, 2 girls. Guy goes back to a previous room. The girls turn off the light and start making out. They did not know about their cameras. Not an operator but a friend of mine was telling me recently about one where the final clue to open the door was in a file on the desktop of a Windows computer. He's a DevOps and security professional, so naturally he turns off this computer, boots it into safe mode, gains access to the command line, uses that to access the files on the desktop, and solves the whole room in 5 minutes. I think the group then did the whole room properly but were pretty smug about their record. I once skipped a couple of steps by reading Chinese numerals right off the lockers they were the combination to. Spent the rest of the room wondering whether that shortcut had made us miss anything. And I told the operator. I was surprised and disappointed to hear that, 1, he hadn't noticed at all, and 2, literally nobody had pulled that before. Like, it's not that uncommon to find a nerd who can decipher 9 glyphs that appear on every giveaway restaurant calendar since 1985. A guy once proposed in the escape room I worked at. It was very cute. He had us put the ring in a treasure chest, and proposed on one knee when she opened the box. On a less nice note, I've had men piss in the corner of the room before. Piss in the toilet with the door open, which was super awkward as the office is next to the toilet, at the end of a long corridor, which means I had to watch them do this whilst walking to the control room. My office has a very nice customer restroom off the waiting room. Many old man customers decided to walk around the counter to use the employee restroom, which is the portal to the back office where I'm seated. They just walk up to the toilet, drop through, and noisily pee with poor aim with me through the second still open door, seated 10 feet from their completely exposed and very hairy ass. Nothing too weird in my time as a game master, but one that does stand out was the pyramid people. There was a puzzle that you solved by looking in a mirror at the right angle, to line up some markings on the mirror with markings on the ceiling. Once you have the correct word, you input it in the device and get reward. Collect all the rewards. Get out. I had a family decide that making a human pyramid was obviously the solution to this puzzle. I had to run down to the room and ask them to please not do that because someone might get hurt. I'm not an operator, but one day me and my friends got hammered and signed up for an escape. The theme was insane asylum. In one of the rooms there was a corpse mannequin with a clue written on his ear. We found it pretty quick, but my friend was convinced we would need it for later, so he threw the corpse over his shoulder and walked around screaming, "If we get stuck I'll check his dick for clues." The staff were not impressed, and in case you were wondering, there were no dick clues. So, I managed this room that had a decorative dungeon-like area that was behind a closed gate that was screwed shut and wasn't meant to be opened. So one day, a group of slightly tipsy yet overall nice and polite middle-aged men come into play. As always, I instruct them about the rules and tell them the usual: everything that must be opened can be done so without excessive force and use of outside tools, blah, blah, blah. The game starts and at one point they seem to be stuck and unable to find the next clue. So they start flipping everything over and generally making a huge mess. Nothing unusual. I turned away from the monitor for literally a couple of minutes to go to the bathroom, and when I came back I see that one of them has a mini pocket-sized toolkit with him that he's used to screw open the dungeon gate and is now trying to take apart a piece of furniture, while another one has fully undressed the mannequin that was inside of the dungeon and put on its bloody robe on himself. Needless to say, they did not find the exit key in time and the room had to be closed for the rest of the day. Due to the damage they did, they were nice enough to apologize and offer to help with cleaning the place up. However, some of the stuff they broke, couldn't be repaired as easily. Not an operator, but probably provided a weird show to watch. 4 of us were in the room, which is separated into different, smaller rooms. With all due respect, the smallest of us noticed a locked cupboard that we were seemingly supposed to get into, and wanted to get into it to scare one of the others when they unlocked it. We find the key, wait for the other 2 to go to a different room, opened the cupboard and tried to get him in. We overestimated the interior volume, and had an awkward moment when the others came back into the room, seeing our friend poorly fitted into the cupboard, which he then struggled to get out of. The clue that we got from the cupboard was supposed to be important to the overall escape, so I assumed the operator was confused when instead of telling the others about the clue, we instead stuffed our friend inside. Still got out even without the difficulty of getting him back out. There was one escape room that gave us a huge keyring with a million keys early on. We'd already solved the lock it went to, but were struggling to finish the other puzzles. The key item we needed to end the game was behind a lock, so when we realized we were low on time, we had one person try every key on that ring just in case. Turns out one of the keys worked, but none of them were supposed to. The operator was super confused and asked us which key so he could take it off the keyring for the future. I'm pretty surprised nobody else had ever tried that. I was in an escape room. We had gotten to the end and needed the password to a computer so we could open files on a flash drive. I don't remember why. It was something about bomb codes. The laptop was a Chromebook, and since we were running out of time I rebooted it and logged in using my own Google account and got the files open. The operator told me no one had done that before, so I was pretty chuffed. We had a puzzle door. You solved the puzzle, turned the crank and it opened. The door was on sliding rails and weighed about 400 pounds. Some dude ripped it off its rails and just moved it. Or, last group of the night, they were drunk and got frustrated so they stole a bunch of shit out of the room. We didn't notice until they left. They emailed us with a treasure map to find where they had hidden all the pieces through downtown. I waited until 8 a.m. the next morning, called the cops and the cops showed up with the guy, very hungover, and made him go get all the pieces. While he did that, I Googled him, found out what company he worked for, contacted their HR and offered them a company discount. His company booked and I informed their HR department that their employee was banned from the facility. Am I reading this wrong? He made a treasure map of where all the pieces were. Your business makes puzzles. He was just continuing the game. I get the theft, but this seemed to be more like laughable drunk shenanigans and not some piece of shit thief behavior where he was trying to screw you. He even brought back everything, so no damage. Going for blood with his HR seems ruthless on your part. Edit. My comment seems to have created a large split. A ton of people are in agreement with me. The other half are freaking out like I'm condoning murder. Lol. To reiterate what other people have also said that goes along with my stance on this, nobody is condoning the theft or criticizing you, Thekrushab, for calling the cops. The point, and where myself and others are in disagreement, is trying to ruin this guy's career over something that in the end caused no damage for the business. The part that bothered me and others was passively trying to cause problems for this guy at his work and the continued bent-up rage for an event that seems like it happened a while back. It seems more like displaced aggression than justice. Let's look at this objectively. If there was damage, the appropriate action would be to collect from the idiot the loss of revenue during the time they couldn't operate and the replacement value of the lost, destroyed tangible property. With the police report, it would be a simple small claims case, but again, there was no damage or loss of property, so why the bent-up rage over this? Disruptions like this are a cost of doing business and should be expected in an entertainment venue like this. Again, not condoned, but expected. I'm more surprised stuff like this doesn't happen more often. This behavior is the literal point of this AskReddit question because it's expected people will do weird, stupid and destructive things at these places. To every other person bitching, comparing me to defending the actions of rapists, murders, and actual heinous crimes. Shut the fuck up, you're so out of line. Not the operator. But the escapee, we thought a half-open ceiling panel was part of the haunted house game, and devised plans to push it off. A disembodied voice on the overhead speaker mustered in their best spooky voice, "Please do not break the ceiling." Turns out it was just a regular, broken ceiling tile. In a different game room, the gated entryway had a panel of 3 lockers to the side of one wall. We searched the lockers for clues to unlock to the next level, until the game master announced that the lockers are there to keep our bags or jacket, and not, in fact, part of the game.